Update. Am I the a-hole for asking my neighbor to wait for her laundry at her house? Original post. Yesterday after I picked my son up from school, my neighbor flagged me down in the driveway to ask me if she could use my laundry machine because hers was broken. I said sure because she's my neighbor. While she was in her house gathering her laundry, I made grilled cheese sandwiches for myself and my son. When she came over, I showed her where the machine was. After loading the machine, she came into the kitchen. My neighbor asked if she could have a grilled cheese. I might just be a prick, but I thought that was a ridiculous thing to ask. I told her I only made 2. She asked why I did that, since I knew she was coming over. Because she was coming over for laundry, not grilled cheese. My son offered her half of his. I always put an egg in my grilled cheese sandwiches. She bit into it and was grossed out by the egg, which she should have seen before she bit into it. She then asked where my trash can was. My son said, "Don't waste food," so she just handed the sandwich back to him. I told him to switch halves with me and then bin the sandwich half when he wasn't looking. She asked to use my bathroom, which I of course agreed to. She came back to the kitchen after and asked if I had any refreshments. I said no and suggested that she wait for her clothes to finish at home. She asked if I was trying to get rid of her. I said we needed to get started on homework. She said she didn't mind. I said we needed to keep distractions to a minimum. She said, "Well, I know when I'm not wanted," and left. When she came back to switch her clothes to the dryer, she was very irritated. I apologized for hurting her feelings. She said it didn't matter, but she sounded angry. Then she left. I feel bad, but I also feel annoyed, because who acts like that? Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Who acts like that? An actual a-hole, that's who. In French, there's this word sournois. It means trying to push something you want, knowing it's not wanted by others, and pushing your own agenda to the detriment of others. Google translates it as sly, devious, sneaky, deceitful. That neighbor certainly has something at the back of her head, and her plan didn't go as she wanted. How close are you with this woman? Has she been in your house before? Do y'all socialize? This whole thing is very strange. Not the a-hole. Let her be upset. If she doesn't get why she was rude, you're not going to be able to explain it to her. I actually just moved here last month. I think I've spoken to her maybe twice. This was her first time coming into my house. I also think it was strange, to be honest. Wow, might want to avoid any future interactions with her. Or just move. Kidding. My sister's neighbor is weird like this. She will pop over to borrow something when she can clearly see my sister has guests and then never leave. Super annoying. I do not want that kind of neighbor. Whoa, Nelly, does that woman need to learn some basic manners? Clearly she didn't know when she wasn't wanted, but hopefully she does now. Yeesh. I hope you explained to your kid how ill-mannered she was, and to never behave like that in other people's homes. Yeah, she put me in an awkward position with him. Obviously, I want to model for him to always be polite and welcoming, but there is a limit. It's a more nuanced situation that a 5-year-old can probably grasp. I can't believe she accepted half of a 5-year-old sandwich. You live next door, woman. Go home and make your own. Who takes food from a child? Wild behavior. Now for the first update. I have a tiny update about my weird neighbor with the broken washing machine. She came back. I know 90% of you said to never let her back in the house, so you are probably going to judge me heavily. In my defense, I was a little flustered by the whole thing. She waved me down again when we were walking up to the house. She said to wait because she had something for me. I waited because I'm stupid. I figured she would just knock on the door anyway if I didn't. She came back with a pie that she said was thanks for using my washing machine. I said thank you and that she didn't have to. She said, "Let's go inside and try a piece." I said it was almost my son's nap time. She said, "Great, we can eat pie while he naps." A lot of you said she might have been interested in me, and that was still in my head. So I said, "Yeah, and you should invite your husband over too." I was expecting that to deter her. Nope. She got very excited. She said, "That's a great idea. Here, you take the pie in and I'll go get him." So at that point, I'm internally thinking, what the heck? My son and I went inside. I started cutting pieces of pie because at this point, I felt like a victim of fate. She came over with her husband. I have never seen a man who looked as exasperated and embarrassed as this guy. We ate pie, and the whole time she asked me weird questions, while her husband looked annoyed. Every once in a while, I would say something and she would give her husband a look. He kept pretending not to see the looks. After we finished the pie, she asked if I had coffee. Her husband said, "Honey, he wants to put his son down for a nap. Let's go home." She said, "Oh, he doesn't mind." Her husband said, "He minds," while he took her elbow and started leading her out the door. She kept insisting that I didn't until they were outside. I gotta say, I think I'm in love with this guy. As weird and annoying as the whole thing was, I feel a lot better about my neighbor now. Some of the comments had some pretty crazy speculation that made me a little nervous. Now that I've met her husband, I'm pretty sure she's just bored. Which is fine. It's annoying, but not creepy. So to all the people who were worried she was trying to seduce me or spy on me or steal from me, don't worry. Based on her husband's reactions, she's just like this. The husband seems used to her behavior, LOL. I definitely got that impression. Sounds like you've made a new buddy. He definitely goes through it on the daily, judging by his actions. Hey, at least you got some pie out of it. This is going to sound so bad, but the pie wasn't that good. Way too much sugar. I'm glad to see someone level-headed. It definitely sounds like a bored or lonely neighbor who maybe doesn't pick up social cues. I did think it was smart that you had them both come and taste the pie. I'd have been paranoid to eat it alone, but seeing they had some too helps. Okay, are you a super interesting person? I was thinking it was a your neighbor thing, but now I'm curious if you're just really intriguing. People are always asking my husband and me questions, and I realized this after I was like, why are there always freaks who try to be friends with me, haha? Not really. I'm divorced. I have a kid. She seemed really zeroed in on that topic. I think divorce is actually pretty common, but maybe not in her social circle. My son and I are in a minority group. Not a super interesting one or anything, though. Oh crap, she absolutely wants to set you up with someone she knows. No, I don't want a rebound girlfriend. I don't want to be one of those guys. Some suburban-type women have a slight fixation on the notions of kids and motherhood. I don't know if your neighbors have their own kids. Part of me assumes not, if she has time to be doing all this. But maybe she has some half-baked subconscious idea about being a feminine influence for the poor divorced man and his motherless son Limao. Not in an I'm gonna be your mom way, but in the slightly bored, maybe well-intentioned busybody neighbor way, where she'll assume, well, some woman has to get involved in their lives, so it may as well be me. As though being a woman within proximity confers a natural positive influence with the woman's touch, in the sense of she'll happily rearrange your couch pillows if you let her, or something. She might also just be weird in a general bad at social cues way, LMAO. I think this is it. I'm pretty sure her kids are teenagers, so maybe now that her kids are at the leave me alone age, she wants a project. Based on her behavior and a lot of the comments, I feel this is most likely. Second update. I thought I was doing well, but I had only seen a small slice of what she was capable of. My ex-wife called me an hour ago to rip me a new exit orifice. My neighbor found her on Facebook and messaged her to ask if she was my ex-wife. She said she was. My neighbor asked her if she knew where I was currently living. She said she did. My neighbor then asked her why our son didn't live with her, his mother. My ex blocked her and then called me to yell at me. I am furious. I want to yell at my neighbor, but I don't want to be stupid. I apologized to my ex-wife, but she is still pissed. How can anyone be so entitled as to think they have the right to interfere in a complete stranger's life like this? She's just my neighbor. We aren't even friends. This is beyond the pale. Tell your ex to screenshot and send you the messages. Write down every attempt she's made to talk to you with dates. If your neighbor continues to butt into your life, let her know you're documenting the harassment and will be making police reports if she continues. Don't feed the gremlin and go off on her, though. She probably wants a reaction, so you pay attention to her. Right, I'm going to text my ex now. I would absolutely go off on her. Your life, your child, and your ex are absolutely none of her damn business, and she needs to back off immediately. Tell her if she keeps this up, you'll go to the cops for harassment or stalking. I want to do all that. I'm nervous about making an enemy, though. We just moved here. I need to be smart about this. I'm wondering if I should talk to her husband about it. Would you rather make an enemy or live next door to someone with zero concept of reasonable boundaries? If you don't nip this in the bud now, I guarantee it will only get worse, and she will escalate if you don't tell her to knock it the heck off. Document, get cameras, and look into getting a restraining order. Do you think I can get a restraining order just because of an unsolicited Facebook message? I am ordering cameras now. Now for the third update. I talked to her husband, and he said he would talk to her. I don't doubt that he did, but whatever he said didn't get through. My son and I were eating breakfast when I heard a knock on the door. I thought there was absolutely no way it could be her, but it was. I looked through the peephole, and she was standing there with a baking tray. I just went back into the kitchen. I ignored her. My son wanted to know why I wasn't answering the door, and I said sometimes we're already doing something important and don't have time for other people if it isn't an emergency. I said breakfast with him was important, and it wasn't an emergency, so I wasn't going to answer. She kept knocking for what felt like ages. Her husband must have come out at one point because I heard him calling her name. She said, "I know he's in there. His car is here." Just incorrigible, this woman. I ignored her. I think her husband actually came and pulled her off the porch. That's what it sounded like to me, but I didn't look. Bugs Bunny is less Looney Tunes than she is. I think you're going to have to be very firm. Try to time it so you're speaking with both of them, and tell them you will file harassment claims against her if she approaches you, your child, or any other member of your family. Make it clear she's a stranger, and you don't want to speak to her ever. I am of a mind at the moment not to speak to her directly again. I think any level of attention might add fuel to the flame. She is obviously bored and fixated, and any engagement will alleviate some of the boredom and encourage the behavior. She needs a job. She thinks she can take care of the single dad and son next door and fix his marriage. Her husband needs to say there are plenty of places that want volunteers. The family next door is not one of those places. Makes sense to me. Her kids look like teenagers and probably don't need her to do much for them anymore. I would never eat food made by someone who I beefed with. Ever. You did the right thing. Absolutely. She sounds completely off her rocker. Who knows what kind of revenge she'd want for involving her husband in her lunacy. Last update. I want to be clear that I have never been friends with this woman. We are only neighbors. Her behavior is beyond strange and unsettling. She tried to come over again with a tray of something she baked, and I ignored her. Last night, I'm pretty sure she knocked on my door. I did not check to make sure it was her, but I'm fairly sure. She had me so paranoid that every time I heard a rustling sound outside, in the back of my mind, I wondered if it was her. Of course it wasn't, because no woman is going to creep around in the bushes at night, but that is how much she is stressing me out. I installed the doorbell camera this morning before I took my son to daycare and went to work. It went off while I was tidying up at work and getting ready to leave. I saw her standing there with another baking tray. I told her through the app that I was at work. She said she wanted to talk to me, and I said that I'm at work and that I don't want to talk to her. She asked if we could talk when I got back from work. I said no. She said she wanted to clear the air. I said that wasn't necessary. I said I'm not upset. A lie, but that I don't want to talk to her or be around her. She said she was worried about me. She said my son and I got home late last night. It wasn't that late, it was around 8, and that my son looked unwell when we arrived. He was sleeping. She said it didn't make sense that I was at work because it's Sunday. Yeah, I work on Sundays. And that if something is going on, she can help me. Her tone and verbiage were so condescending. I stopped being nice. I told her to please get off my property. I said I do not want her around me or my son. I said she was making me uncomfortable. She tried to argue with me, but I stopped responding while continuing to watch her on the app. She kept saying she just wanted to help. She even knocked on the door at one point. She left with her baking tray. I'm stressed out. Part of me doesn't even want to go home. She thinks she has the right to claim my space and my time. She treats my porch like public property, and me like I owe her an explanation for anything in my life. It's infuriating. I might be making a mountain out of a molehill. I know she's just a bored busybody, but she needs to find someone else to take an interest in. I think the SPCA accepts volunteers. call her husband and the police, file harassment charges, ask for no contact, and if she continues, you will continue to call the police to make it very clear that you want no contact with her. I did talk to her husband. He said he was going to talk to her. I believe that he did, but obviously whatever he said didn't convince her. Or maybe I'm naive and he was just blowing me off and never spoke to her. I'm not going to call the police. I'm saving the footage of our conversation, but I'm not going to call the police at this point. She hasn't broken any laws, and I fear getting the police involved would be an escalation. I don't want cops at my house. I don't want my ex-wife finding out I didn't nip this situation in the bud, like I assured her I would. Last story. Am I the a-hole for being annoyed that my wife's friends and husband dropped in on us for dinner? This is short and sweet. I planned a cookout for my wife and my son since we had some warm weather. I went and got some really nice steaks. While prepping everything, her friend called and invited her and her husband over. My wife just told them to stop and get steaks to cook. So they did. I was annoyed. I didn't want company, but I went with it. I cooked the food, and when it came time to sit down, everyone grabbed their food. When I grabbed mine, my steak was gone. This man took my steak and was already eating it, and then said, "Oh, my bad. Did I grab the wrong one? I can't tell the difference." You mean to tell me you can't tell the difference between my fresh-cut, local butcher, 2-inch thick, $24.99 a pound Delmonico, compared to your literally Walmart-purchased $8.99 per pound whatever it was? I left and went to a steakhouse and told them to have fun. My wife got upset at me and said that to most people, steak is steak, and I should have let it go. He knew exactly what he did, and he just wanted the good steak. Yup, that man is an a-hole. They sound like the type of people who turn up to a party with light beer and drink others' premium beers and say, beer is beer. I had a co-worker who always brought a jar of pickles to our potlucks. No one ate the pickles, so they remained unopened. And he just brought the same jar every time. He never brought anything else, not so much as paper plates or a bag of chips. My uni friend brought a half-chopped cucumber to our potluck. This was for a Christmas buffet, and literally everyone else brought traditional dishes, home-baked bread, or lots of alcohol. Some people.